Welcome back to Carpentry College. Today we will be producing a cross halving, a mitred halving and a corner halving. For example, a cross halving is used on an occasional table. For example, mitred and corner halvings can be used to produce framework for a canvas backing, like this or that. Tools required for this job is a pencil, a ruler, a single pin marking gauge, a mallet, a 32mm bevel edge chisel, a 25mm bevel edge chisel, a tenon saw, a tri-square, a mitre square, and finally a block plane. We also need a cutting aid known as a bench hook. We are going to use prepared timber. The piece of timber that you're going to need is needs to be 460mm long by 45mm wide by 28mm thick. Firstly, we need to mark the length of the piece of timber, which is 220 long. Okay, so now I'm gonna just mark our 220 here. The next thing I need to do is select my face side and face edge, which I'm going to do now. So face side, face edge. And this one's going to have face side and a face edge like that. So the next thing I'm going to do is square the line, the marked line, the 220 line all the way around, making sure that the square is touching your face edge or your face side. The next thing is to place your bench hook into the vise. Like so. Place the timber onto the bench hook and then pick up your tenon saw and cut on the line by pulling your saw to you. 1, 2, 3, and then start. Nice and easy strokes. Using all the saw. Slowly as you finish, come to the end. Nice and so. That's finished. So now we need to cut the remaining piece, also 220 long. And also square that line round. Okay, so to start, we need to pull the saw 3 times towards us. Like so, like so. 1, 2, 3, and then start. The next thing we're going to do is mark the positions of the corner halving cross halving and mitered halving, and at the same time using the running tool tool to mark those points along our piece of timber. So we've got 45, 85, 130, 170, and then 215, like so. Now we square these lines around. So now we pair them up with the other piece and square over the lines. Okay, so mark the corner, label the corners up. So we've got corner, cross, and halving is at the, mitered is at the end. Yeah. Right, so the next thing is to set up your marking, single beam marking gauge, so it's in central to the thickness of the materials. So by doing that, we need to open the single beam marking gauge just slightly more than halfway of the material. So gauging from your face side, they can make a little impression, a mark, where it's not going to be seen, and then flip it over, you'll get 2 marks like so. I need to adjust the single beam marking gauge so it's in the middle of those 2 marks by just literally tapping them so in the middle of those 2 marks. Right, so I'll try it again. So make an impression. Right, now for me it's still a little bit off. I could still live with that, but I just want that more refined a bit more. Just that little bit more. I'll put that in there. Just that little bit more refined. Okay, right. So let's do that again before you mark it up finally. Here we go. 1, 2. Right, I'm happy with that. Now it can be a little bit off, but as long as you can, when I say a little bit, probably 0.2 of a mil, it can be slightly off. But as long as you gauge from the face side, that you should be okay with that one. So now gauging. I'm going to timber in the vise. Just to keep it steady, I'm going to do the corner first, corner halving. I'm going to gauge that first. So remembering the stock has to touch your face side, and then I'm going to gauge all the way around on 3 sides. 1, 2, and the third one is going to be around the other side. Okay, just making sure it's gauging from your face side. So here we go. Little trick there, if you put an impression there and then gauge, that should stop in, we shouldn't go no more than where you put that impression. So I'm just going to highlight. So the next place I'm going to gauge is our cross halving, so in between there. So again, making sure the gauge is touching the face side, and it is, or the stock of the marking gauge touching the face side, and I'm going to begin from there. That should stop there. That should no further than there. Okay, that goes there. And then our mitered halving needs to gauge round there and there and there. 3 sides. So here we go. So I need to put a diagonal line from this corner to that corner using a mitre square. So this is a mitre square, what I've got in my hand, and what I want to do with a mitre square, this is prefixed at a 45-degree angle, and then that enables me to put a nice straight line diagonally going across like that. There we go. Okay, so now after you've done your marking out, we need to then shade the waist with the pencil. The waist is the bit that we're going to cut away once we get started with the saw. So all of this is going to come away. Here, the back. Here. There. So shading the waist, this eliminates any mistakes from the start. This is the marking out stage. Right, so.
Go on, H.
So now we've finished marking the first piece. Now we need to do the same, but it's going to be the opposite version on the secondary piece. The mitre square goes here. Oh. So mark the mitre square is the opposite. So that's going to be there. So now the next thing is to use our single pin marking gauge. Just check it hasn't moved. That's fine. So and then I'm going to gauge. Again, we are going to shade the waist. So that's going to fit there. Then that goes to there. Right, and then we've got that one going to go to there like that. Now I'm going to cut in sequence, starting with the corner halving first, followed by the cross, followed by the mitred halving. So these two are going to get cut, then these two are going to be cut and chopped out, and then thirdly the mitred halving. So now it's a case of cutting the parts out using the tenon saw. So firstly, I put my timber into the vise like so. And then now I'm picking up my saw, and remember to cut on your waist side of your line, which is the shaded side, the one that we shaded. So by making a start, you're gonna try and cut, starting, get your thumb, 1, 2, 3 on the waist side. Okay, so pull out the saw once, twice, 3 times. So now I'm going to trench my cuts ready for the saw to step into, but I firstly need to knife it, and then I'll produce the trench, and then the saw can sit as a guide when I'm going to about to cut it. So before I do the next cut, just offer the material up, just so that you know how much to sort of knife. You're not too loose, or you're not too tight. Just making sure that's always. I put my chisel onto the line and just nice and gently using the corner of the chisel. Okay, now it's ready to cut. Relief cut in the middle. So, we need to chop this out now. So, a little bit at a time. Tilting the chisel up. Using the widest chisel, which is the 32mm. Now we do the opposite component, where we're going to do the same again, so that when the two come together, they cross over. You'll have two halving joints, which are one half and that's another half, but the opposite sides. looks not quite right there. Is it? Look, you see this line there? That's all right. Okay, so a little bit more. So, we've done this corner halving, and that's spot on. And then this spot on again, look at that. So next is this corner, the mitred corner. Mitred halving is the next thing. The next thing we're going to produce is the mitred halving. Now I need to cut, or I need to split this one directly in the middle, all the way down, and make sure that I don't cut into this side. This is the waist side, because we've already shaded that, haven't we? Yeah, that's the waist. This is going to be the waist, and this is also the waist. Okay, so but initially I shall be cutting along here, along the top, and going down this way and that way, but obviously making sure that I'm in the waist side of the material, because that's the one that I need to remove. That's the first cut. Okay, so firstly, just like our other cut-ins, when I say cut-ins, meaning our corners, halving generally, when we're cutting with the tenon saw, it's the same thing with this mitred halving. Again, I'm going to cut on the waist side. So the waist side is the shaded side that we've already marked. So what I'm going to do then is just make a start. 1, 2, 3. And just going on the top, like so, to give me a start with the saw. And then I'm going to start with this side. So now, my thumb on there. 1, 2, 3. So finally, I'm going to do the trench method here, because this is going to be quite crucial. So I'm going to do this little knife cut down the ends there. So when I say down the end, here. Here's my little one for that, 25mm. I'm going to put that there. So just cutting that there, scoring it, knifing it, knifing. I'm just going to do that there as well. Piece there. So put it in the vise, and away we go. 1, 2, 3. Put that on the saw, just take that off of there. There we are. I need nothing more yet. So that's one piece. So for this cut, all I need to do is basically start. I'm starting from the corner here, and work my way down to the mitred line, and then I shall cut that off there, using the same method I've done there with the trenching, and then that should fit onto here like that. So for the opposite side of that mitred halving, I've done the same method again, where I cut down along the top, and then I started as a guide, and then I'm starting taking it from that corner, using the saw, obviously cutting at an angle and to that mitred line, and then the saw will be sitting in the trench cut, just like I produced there before, to enable that to get cut off, and that comes off. And then that is already done now, ready to receive our final part, which is bringing it together. So we should have the mitre, which is that one, halving. Then we have the cross, like so. And then we have the corner halving, which is like so. Now the only thing I need to do to this now is to finally cut off the surplus of the end, because that makes that finish, because you cannot cut a mitre properly if it's on the very corner of the actual piece of wood. That's why it is overhanging. That's the purpose of the overhang, especially on this piece. Okay, so now I can just finally do that. Cut that off. So, here's my saw. I'm just going to score this. Actually, just score this here. Just so that I can, so there's no break out of there. I'm going to revisit that again, let's see. So that sits there. Oh, right, it's more like that, isn't it? Okay, right. Got it. Right, using your bench hook, I'm going to cut down nice and square using my 10-inch saw to finally finish that off. Look. One. So using that, use that one. Two. Now it's just slightly a bit over here where I've just cut it, which is better than undercut. So now what I'm going to do now is then put this in the vise and then get myself a little block plane. This is good for end grain. So this is going to be set now to the fine, very fine finish, and all I'm planing is the end grain. This is very good for planing end grain, known as a block plane. Make sure it's nice and tight. Trapped it a bit more.
Yeah, you want.
When I was planing, I was kind of adjusting the plane because it was just taking off too much. So by rewinding or anti-clockwise brings back the plane to a very fine setting. I noticed it was really taking a little bit too much than I would like. And when it's a end grain finisher, so I just wanted it so it's slicing the end grain instead of taking little chunks. So that's what I was doing when I was fiddling around with it. What we have produced now is a cross halving, like so, a corner halving, and a mitred halving, which is like so. And there you have it. So now it's your turn to have a go.